Here is one question for you. How much would a mushroom cost per kilos? $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000. Which is the most expensive mushroom in the world? That is the actual question. The answer would make you astounded because the most expensive mushroom in the world costs $50,000 for a kilo. And the funny thing is, this is not a plant. This is partly plant, partly animal, and it grows in Himalayas. So let's go to Himalayas to find out what this creature, what this mushroom is and why it costs so much. There's a creature in the Himalayas that is half animal, half plant. It starts as a caterpillar, burrowing underground in alpine meadows at 4,000 meters, surviving the brutal Himalayan winter. Then a fungus finds it, invades its body, feeds on it from the inside, slowly replaces its flesh with fungal tissue until the caterpillar is no longer a caterpillar. It's a mushroom wearing a dead insect like a suit. The Tibetans call it Yarsagumba, grass that becomes winter, winter that becomes grass. The world calls it the most expensive biological material on the planet. More expensive than gold, more expensive than truffles, more expensive gram for gram than cocaine. Because 1 kilogram of premium Yarsagumba sells for $50,000. So what is this mushroom? And what is actually happening here? And how could this be edible if it's a fungus? Yarsagumba, scientific name Cordyceps sinensis, is a parasitic fungus that infects ghost moth caterpillars living in high altitude meadows across Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, and the Indian states of Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and Sikkim. The fungus kills a caterpillar underground, mummifies it, then sends a finger-like fruiting body up through the soil in spring. Harvesters crawl on hands and knees across alpine meadows searching for that tiny brown spike emerging from the earth. It's been used in Chinese and Tibetan medicines for centuries. Traditionally prescribed for fatigue, kidney disease, respiratory problems, and sexual dysfunction. The magical word, sexual dysfunction. The Chinese nickname for Yarsagumba, Himalayan Viagra, says it all. This is a name that drove demand from a regional folk remedy to a global luxury commodity. The transformation happened fast. In the 1990s, Yarsagumba sold for a few $100s per kilogram. By 2008, it had cost $10,000. Today, top-grade material from Tibet commands $50,000 per kilogram in Chinese luxury markets. But as in many stories, here is a contradiction. The people who harvest Yarsagumba are not luxury traders. They are normal people desperate for a living. They are subsistence farmers and herders from some of the poorest communities in the Himalayas. Nepal hill communities, Tibetan nomads, villagers from Uttarakhand and Sikkim who earn less than $500 a year from conventional agriculture. For these communities, the 6-week harvesting season, April to June, has become the single most important economic event of the year. In Nepal's Dolpa district, Yarsagumba accounts for over 60% of household income in harvesting communities. In some Tibetan regions, it is higher. The task is arduous. They wake before dawn. Immediately, they climb 4,000 to 5,000 meters to the top of the cliff, where the oxygen is very thin and temperatures drop below zero at night. And they spend 8 to 10 hours crawling on the frozen ground looking for Yarsagumba. A good day yields 30 to 40 pieces. But if you are lucky, if you can yield that much at the current prices, it sounds like a fortune. The only thing is, it isn't. By the time the fungus moves from the harvester's hands through local traders, regional middlemen, cross-border smugglers, and wholesale distributors in Chengdu and Shanghai, the harvester is receiving perhaps 20 to 30% of the final market price. The rest is absorbed by a trading chain they have no visibility into and no power to negotiate with. The person taking the physical risk, altitude sickness, frostbite, falls on steep terrain, territorial violence with competing harvesters, is the person capturing the least value. And situation is changing slowly. The numbers of harvests are falling. They have declined by an estimated 30 to 50% over the last 2 decades. In some harvesting zones, old-timers report yields at a fraction of what they were 20 years ago. One of the main reasons is over-harvesting. When something is worth $50,000 per kilogram, every piece left in the ground feels like money abandoned, so they don't leave any piece. Harvesters go earlier in the season, which means fewer caterpillars get infected the following year. They are harvesting at lower altitudes than before. They are bringing more people into the meadows, compacting fragile alpine soil that takes decades to recover. The second factor, as usual, is climate change. Like every other place on earth, climate change is actually killing every traditional things in the world. Yarsagumba exists in an extremely narrow ecological window. Specific altitude, specific temperature range, specific soil moisture. As Himalayan temperatures rise, that window is shifting upward. The meadows that supported the largest populations are warming. The fungus is retreating to higher grounds where the terrain is less productive and harder to harvest. These two pressures are accelerating each other. The less Yarsagumba there is, the more intensively the remaining populations get harvested. The more intensively they get harvested, the faster the populations decline. Enough about statistics. But is there any proof in the clinical claims the benefits of this fungus, this mushroom? There are studies, mostly small, mostly conducted on isolated compounds derived from the fungus rather than the fungus itself, mostly without rigorous controls. The active compound, Cordyceps, does show biological activity in laboratory settings. Animal studies show some promising results. But large-scale, peer-reviewed, double-blind human clinical trials establishing that consuming Yarsagumba improves athletic performance, treats kidney disease, or enhances sexual function, they don't exist at the standard that would satisfy any serious medical regulator. But the world doesn't care. They just want the magical word, Himalayan Viagra. And anything that claims to improve sexual performance always has a place in trade and history. Thank you so much for listening.